Neon leaks through the blinds like a confession. Rain tapping truths I don't ask to hear. Ice in my glass, but my thoughts stay burning. I learned real heat comes from silence, not fear. They talk loud about dreams and money. I listen close to the sound of time. Every scar on my hand's a lesson. You only learn when you walk the line. I don't chase respect, I let it arrive like smoke curling slow in the air. The loudest man's usually begging inside, the quiet one already there. I don't need to raise my voice to be king. Power moves best when it's coming unseen. While they scream for the throne and bleed in the light, I sit in the dark and the dark works for me. Old souls recognize old souls. No introductions needed tonight. I've buried mistakes under tailored patience and watered my hunger with discipline and spite. They chase fast winds and fragile praise. I invest in time and control. I'd rather move slow with iron intent than rush loud with an empty soul. Trust is a currency few can afford. Loyalty's rarer than gold. I count my words like loaded rounds because silence never gets old. I don't need to raise my voice to be king. Power moves best when it's calm and unseen. While they scream for the throne and bleed in the light, I sit in the dark and the dark works for me. I watched empires die from ego, seeing men lose crowns chasing applause. Cold nights taught me one hard truth: control beats chaos every time it's tested by laws. I don't flex, I endure. I don't rush, I ride. Pressure never broke me, it just taught me how to survive. Some men want noise to feel alive. I learned peace is the real luxury. I don't need to raise my voice to be king. Real power whispers, it doesn't scream. Let them burn bright for a moment of fame. I last forever by staying restrained. I don't need to raise my voice to be king. Real power whispers, it doesn't scream. Let them burn bright for a moment of fame. I last forever by staying restrained. Cigarette dying slow in the ashtray. Same way I let the night fade out. Still breathing, still standing, still dangerous, because the quiet lose never arose. The city breathes in neon lights. I count the cracks in amber skies. Another glass, another ghost. The ones who loved me left the most. Rain taps cold on window panes. Moors for all my old campaigns. I wore the crown, I paid the cost. Now I'm the king of what I've lost. We're all just smoke and mirrors from playing gods until the end. Every empire turns to dust, but a man's word, that's all there's left to trust. She said forever tastes like wine. I said forever is just a line we draw in sand before the tide, then wonder why we never tried. The jazz plays low, the hour's late. I've made my peace with love and hate. The good die young, the cold survive. I'm neither dead nor quite alive. We're all just smoke and mirrors, friend, playing gods until the end. Every empire turns to dust, but a man's word, that's all there's left to trust. They'll write your name in epitaphs, but no one counts the bloody paths, the nights you bled in silk and shame, the price you paid to play the game. So raise your glass to broken things, to shattered halos, clipped off wings, to every scar beneath the suit, to bitter truths we don't dispute. I walk alone through velvet black, no looking forward, no looking back. The world's a stage, the lights grow dim, but I won't bow, I never did. We're all just smoke and mirrors, friends, dust, but a man's word, that's all there's left to trust. The barman knows my usual lie. I tip my hat and say goodbye. The rain still falls on concrete tombs, and I light another in the gloom. The rain don't wash the city, it just makes the grease shine. I'm sitting in the corner, trading shadows for my time. The neon sign is flickering, a broken buzzing prayer, while the ghosts of all my choices pull a chair up through the air. I've got silver in my pocket, but there's iron in my soul, and the silence in this glass is the only thing I can control. It's a cold kind of kingdom when the sun goes down, wearing mercury shoes in a cardboard town. No brass, no shouting, just the weight of the hand, building castles out of smoke on a beach of black sand. The world is a predator that's forgotten how to sleep, and I'm the only secret that I'm still allowed to keep. They talk about the fire, but they never felt the frost. Every win I ever tallied was just a prettier way to say lost. The piano hits a minor chord, sparse and sharp as glass, watching decades of the dirty work through a whiskey-tinted lens pass. I don't move for the thunder, I don't flinch at the light. I've made a comfortable arrangement with the belly of the night. You were too weak to trouble by the man who stayed awake. Justice is a bargain that the desperate never make. I've outlived my enemies, I've outrun my youth, and I've learned that a well-placed lie is sturdier than a naked truth. You can own the whole city and still be a guest. Because the grave is the only place a man like me can finally afford to rest.
The song title of Liver better than writer become. I flipped my back to the door, let the strangers pass. Rain claws the window like fingers from a shallow grave. Each stricken name I buried, a debt I never paid. The trumpet moans low, a widow's sigh in the gloom. Upright bass keeps time with a pulse of my doom. Cigarette glows like the last eye of a dying rat. I inhale the poison deep slow, 'cause the world's like that. This is the code of the shadow, the creed of the cold, where men like me wear silence like a suit of old. Philosophers in fedoras, gangsters with hearts of lead. We don't chase the sunrise, we own the night instead. Relatable ache in the ribs, the kind that don't show. Heavy as a gun in my coat, light as a lies I know. Faces in the smoke, lovers, brothers, marks from the game. They flicker like bad film, all ending the same. Loyalty's a blade I sharpen on my own spine. Turned it once too often, now the scars are mine. The city's a whore in neon heels and a torn dress. Promises cheap whiskey, delivers nothing less. I've walked these alleys where the weak go to pray, but I walk them 'cause the devil knows my name. What is a man in this meat grinder of fate? A loaded chamber waiting for the hammers to bait. We build empires from dust, crown ourselves with rust, then watch it all crumble 'cause nothing ever was. Power's a ghost in the mirror, morality a joke. The only truth is the trigger, the only piece is the smoke. This is the code of the shadow, the creed of the cold, where the strong don't beg and the broken don't fold. One more drag on this life, let the ember kiss the end. Watch it burn to nothing, my only faithful friend. They all want the throne, but the king, he just walks away. They all want the throne, but the king, he just walks away. catcher screams of a glory long deceased, and I am but the vulture at the ending of the feast. I find a certain beauty in the way a kingdom falls, in the cracks upon the ceiling, and the blood upon the walls. They talk of sacred honor as if shadows have a name, but the candle doesn't argue with the ending of the flame. I've sat with kings in velvet, and I've slept with dogs in dirt, and I've learned that both are hollow when the iron starts to hurt. The city is a theater where the actors lose their tongues, breathing in the charcoal that is blackening their lungs. I don't seek a salvation, for the soul is just a ghost, a phantom guest who lingers while the body plays the host. Oh, the symphony is silver, and the conductor is the night, turning every heavy wrong into a cold and quiet ride. There's no heat in the lightning, there's no mercy in the rain, just the elegant geometry of calculated pain. I am the silent architect, the keeper of the gate, the man who carved his signature upon the ribs of fate. Virtue is a costume for the man who lacks the nerve, but power is a circle, and a circle has no curve. I've watched the sun rise 1,000 times and never felt the glow. I'm the only one who realized there's nowhere left to go. They say that every man is born an original, but I'm the one who ensures they all die as carbon copies of their sins. who deserves it. It just falls, same law for us all. I learned early mercy is expensive, and weakness is always on call. Neon lights flicker on wet pavement. Promises rot under light. Truth survives best in the shadows. That's why I only move at night. I don't explain myself to ghosts or argue with men who talk too much. Understanding is a lonely skill, and silence sharpens it into a blade. I don't threaten, I wait. Time does the violence. The coldest power is discipline silent. They mistake my calm for mercy or fear until they realize I was always clear. I've seen loyalty bend under pressure, watched morals melt when rent is due. Most men rent their sense of purpose. I bought mine with what I lived through. They chase meaning like it's a headline. I carved mine out of consequence. Pain taught me structure and patience, while comfort taught them confidence. I don't raise my voice for attention. Noise is the language of doubt. If I speak, it's already decided, because thinking happens long before sound. I don't threaten, I wait. Time does the violence. The coldest powers, discipline, silence. They mistake my calm for mercy or fear until they realize I was always clear. Ego wants witnesses. Wisdom prefers records. History never remembers the loudest, only the ones who endured. I don't believe in fate or luck, only pressure applied long enough Men don't break from bad intentions. They break when the truth gets rough. Most people want to feel important. I want it to be inevitable. I don't threaten, I wait. Time does the violence. Execution, quieter than defiance. No anger, no drama, no sound, just outcomes arriving exactly on time. Cigarette burning down to a sentence, ash falling like second chances. I don't chase peace or forgiveness, I live with the weight of my decisions. God died somewhere between the wars. Left us counting nameless scars. We built our thrones on broken backs, then called it progress, painted facts. The whiskey knows what I won't say. That truth's just poison and decay. We're all just me with borrowed time, pretending meaning in the rhyme. Death's the only promise kept, while philosophers and cowards wept. We wear our sins like tailored suits and bury conscience under boots. She asked me if I still believe. I laugh, beliefs for those who grieve. For those who need a higher plan to justify the beast in man. The moon's indifferent to our pain. The stars won't wash away the stain. We kill, we fuck, we lie, we rust, and feed our stories to the dust. Death's the only promise kept, while philosophers and cowards wept. We wear our sins like tailored suits and bury conscience under boots. Father's legacy a grave, your mother's love what she forgave. Your children's dreams, they'll learn the same, that life's a temporary name. Morality's just fear-dressed nights. We gamble souls like loaded dice. The house always wins the bet, but I haven't lost my nerve yet. They write of honor, speak of light. I've seen men pray before they fight, then pull the trigger, cross themselves, and stack their medals on the shelves. The void doesn't judge what we become. It simply waits until we're done. No heaven, hell, or grand design, just blood that turns to turpentine. Death's the only promise kept, while philosophers and cowards wept. We wear our sins like tailored suits and bury conscience under boot. So here's to ashes in the ashtray, to all the gods we threw away, to living cold and dying free, to the beautiful futility. The city sleeps on borrowed dreams, nothing's ever what it seems. I pour another face the glass, a ghost is all that's meant to last. God is a spectator with a front row seat to the kill. The universe is a clockwork, and I am the iron will. I don't believe in evil, that's a word for the afraid. I only believe in the ledger and the debts that must be paid. Compassion is a luxury for those who live in the light, but out here in the marrow, everything is black and white. At the top of a mountain of bone, I build a cathedral out of silence and stone. No blood on my hands, just the frost on the steel. Broken men begging for a God who can feel. But the stars are just holes in a shroud of cold blue, and the dark doesn't care what happens to you. I've watched the righteous crumble when the shadows start to stretch, losing their religion for a breath they couldn't fetch. They call it a tragedy, I call it a closing cost. In a world built on hunger, nothing is ever truly lost. It just changes owners, from the weak to the cold. I'm the taxman of the spirit, I'm the rod inside the gold.
or something. Loud ump in a dot. You spent 50 years building just to watch the wood rot. I don't hate you, hate is a fire that burns the stove. I'm the vacuum in the hallway, I'm the end of the grove. They say the truth will set you free, but in my experience, the truth is just the last thing you see before you realize you never mattered at all. The street light hums a dirge for no one in particular. I lean against the brick where the paint peels like old skin. Rain falls in straight lines, no poetry, no pity. Just waterproofing gravity still works on the forgotten. I light a match to see my own face in the puddle. It's the same stranger who checked out years, left the body running on fumes and bad decisions. The night doesn't care, neither do I. We are accidents, waiting for the report. Souls on layaway in a pawn shop of flesh. No script, no director, no curtain call. Just the reel spinning to static, the projector blind. Freedom is a cage we build ourselves, and meaning a cigarette burned down to the filter. We pretend to smoke right, something profound, but it's only ash pretending to be stars. Believed in causes and clean breaks in dawn. Now dawn is just another shadow changing clothes. The gun in the drawer doesn't whisper anymore. It knows the trigger pull is the only honest act left. Lovers leave like seasons that never return. Promises rot in the gutters with yesterday's headlines. I walk the boulevards of closed doors and lit windows, watching other people's lives like bad reruns.
If God exists, he's a drunk in the alley behind the cathedral, laughing at the sermons we wrote in blood. If nothing exists, then this silence is perfect. No judgment, no mercy, no sequel. We invent gods to blame for the mess we made, then kill them quietly when the alibi runs dry. The absurd is the only honest companion. It never lies, never leaves, never forgives. We are accidents, waiting for the report. Souls on layaway in a pawn shop of flesh. No heaven for the damned, no hell for the bored. Just the long corridor where echoes die first. Existence is a loaded dice roll in the dark. We keep throwing anyway because stopping would mean admitting the game was never worth a candle. Night keeps counsel better than men. It listens and never betrays. I've walked with regret as a companion and learned its lessons in quiet ways. Candles burn slower in empty rooms. Time bounds to those who endure. I traded comfort for clarity. I do not plead with chance or fate. Both are careless just at best. What's meant for me survive neglect. What fails was never a test line. I do not conquer with force or flame. I let the moment bend my name. The loud sea crowns through borrowed fire. I rule by patience, cold and entire. Men speak of honor as decoration, won when the cost is low. I learned it weighs like iron chain when no one's watching you go. Gold shines loud but rots the soul. Applause fades faster than breath. I measure success in what still stands after bargaining with death. I do not rush what time will bring, nor envy the swift or bold. Most fall chasing tomorrow's praise. I master the art of being cold. I do not conquer with force or flame. I let the moment bend my name. The loud sea crowns through borrowed fire. I rule by patience, cold and entire. There is a violence in restraint, sharper than rage displayed. A man who governs his own desires is one no blade can truly invade. I've seen empires built on noise collapse beneath their pride. Silence remains when ruin's speaking, and truth no longer needs a sigh. Power is not what you take. It is what you never have to ask for.
I do not conquer with force or flame. I let the moment bend to my name. Let them burn bright and vanish fast. I was built for the long, unbroken path.
The room exhales as the night withdraws. Ash settles where fire once stayed. I remain unchanged, unannounced, a consequence quietly made. They say a man's worth is his name. But names get lost in fire and flame. I've seen the righteous sell their souls for silver coins and empty goals. The night keeps secrets better than the priest. At least it doesn't claim to bring you peace. Just silent smoke and honest cold, the only truth that can't be sold. The ledger never lies, my friend. Every beginning knows its end. We scratch our marks in borrowed sand, then disappear like contraband. She spoke of fate like it was kind. I told her fate is deaf and blind. It doesn't choose, it doesn't care. It simply leaves you standing there. The mirror shows what time will take. Each line a choice we didn't make, or made too late, or made too soon. Dancing corpses to a distant tune. The ledger never lies, my friend. Every beginning knows its end. We scratch our marks in borrowed sand, then disappear like contraband. They build their monuments to pride, while the honest men have already died. The victors write the history, but history forgets eventually. Power's just a fleeting breath. Fame's a mistress married to death, and love that beautiful disease brings the strongest to their knees. I've walked through doors that don't exist, shook hands with shadows in the mist, made promises I couldn't keep to women who no longer weep. The wise man knows he knows too late. The fool believes in choice and fate, but I just sit here in between, the dirtiest place I've ever been. The ledger never lies, my friend. Every beginning knows its end. We scratch our marks in borrowed sand, then disappear like contraband. So pour me something dark and deep, for men like me who never sleep, who've seen the price of staying clean and chose the darkness in between. The rain outside erases tracks, but memory always brings them back. We're haunted not by what we've done, but by the wars we never won. The clock strikes 3, the room goes still. I pay my tab, I pay my bill. The city's sleeping, so am I. But ghosts don't sleep, they just get by. And when they ask what I became, tell them I forgot my name. Tell them I was never here, just cigarette smoke and cheap veneer. The streetlight hums a dirt for no one in particular. I lean against the brick where the paint peels like old skin. Rain falls in straight lines, no poetry, no pity, just water proving gravity still works on the forgotten. I light a match to see my own face in the puddle. It's the same stranger who checked out years ago, left the body running on fumes and bad decisions. The night doesn't care, neither do I. We are accidents waiting for the report, souls on layaway in a pawn shop of flesh. No script, no director, no curtain call, just the reel spinning to static, the projector blind. Freedom is the cage we build ourselves, and meaning a cigarette burned down to the filter. We pretend the smoke writes something profound, but it's only ash pretending to be stars. I once believed in causes and clean breaks and dawn. Now dawn is just another shadow changing clothes. The gun in the drawer doesn't whisper anymore. It knows the trigger pull is the only honest act left. Lovers leave like seasons that never return. Promises rot in the gutters with yesterday's headlines. I walk the boulevards of closed doors and lit windows, watching other people's lives like bad reruns. If God exists, he's a drunk in the alley behind the cathedral, laughing at the sermons we wrote in blood. If nothing exists, then the silence is perfect. No judgment, no mercy, no sequel. We invent gods to blame for the mess we made, then kill them quietly when the alibi runs dry. The absurd is the only honest companion. It never lies, never leaves, never forgives. We are accidents waiting for the report. Souls on layaway in a pawn shop of flesh. No heaven for the damned, no hell for the bored. Just a long corridor where echoes die first. Existence is a loaded dice roll in the dark. We keep throwing anyway because stopping would mean admitting the game was never worth the candle.